Hey there, YouTube land. Well, we've been putting some miles on this crazy V8 powered 944 here, and it's running real good, except for the idle, off idle stuff that we talked about before, but we're working on that and we'll get it straightened out soon enough. Big brakes are working great. It's really dirty because we've been driving on it. It's got some nice juicy bugs splattered on it, so we'll have to wash it up soon, but hey, let's go for a ride. So the first gas mileage recording was 16 miles per gallon, 16 and a half, sorry. So we're not doing great, but we are still tuning, and there was a lot more tuning involved with that tank of gas. So since everything's working really well, we're probably going to be driving it a good bit more, so we'll do some more fuel mileage runs just to see what we come up with. A lot of that has to do with calming down the driving. I mean, the more you get used to it, the more you will drive it normal, because when you first get in it, it's like, wow, this thing's fast, let's go. So yeah, driving like that, you're not going to get great gas mileage no matter what you do. So we'll see what we come up with as we drive it more. The other thing we gotta kind of worry about is whether or not this odometer is actually reading correctly. I was thinking of using this GPS, but I was looking at it today. I can't find a setting to track mileage. I mean, it tells you all kinds of other stuff, like what time it is, what the speed limit is on the road you're at, what speed you're going. So you would think it wouldn't be a big deal for it to, you know, tell you how many miles you're traveling, but there doesn't seem to be a setting for that. So I have a new GPS that I just bought. I haven't got it out of the box yet, so we'll have to see if that will do mileage. This one here, I have 3 of them now. This one's the oldest one. I like it because it's small. The only place I have to put the GPS is right up here above the mirror, and it partially covers the mirror, so that's not really good. Hang on. Woo! Man! Yeah, we're not going to get good gas mileage doing that. Let's calm down a little bit here. There, now we will go at a more respectable speed. While I was at the gas station today getting gas, this guy asks me what engine's in it. I told him it's a 6-liter LS engine, and he tells me that the place that he works, he's a mechanic, his boss has a 944 with an LS in it that he's looking to sell. So at some point in the next week or so, I guess I'll take a trip over there and see what that's all about. I have no idea what he wants for it. I've seen the car before, just because it's a 944 and it's sitting at this shop, and you know, I would notice a 944 sitting somewhere, but it looks like it's an early car, so I don't know. I'll go and talk to him, see what he wants for it. That's my mechanic's house, so honk the horn. Way faster than you should go on this road. This thing, I mean, it really rips. It's pretty crazy. I mean, yeah, you have the 944 transaxle, which, you know, just if you don't know anything about 944s or, you know, German transmissions and transaxles in general, you can't, their synchros are different than like American made transmissions, and they don't spin up real quick, so you've got to be very patient with them when you're shifting. They won't just go right from first, zoing right into second gear. It's you kind of feel it going through its paces and the gears meshing up as you're pulling through. So if you force it, it's just going to grind the gears, and you know, wear your synchros out real quick, and then you'll end up with a very expensive transaxle rebuild again. So I try to be very careful going through it. Oh, and I forgot to tell you about the nut and bolt check. Thursday night I finally got around to doing the nut and bolt check. Just on the rear, I didn't get to the front yet. Found a couple of interesting things. One is left rear outer CV joint bolts. 3 of them were not tight. So we tightened them up. Most everything else looked good. The drive shaft coupler to the transaxle, the front bolt was, I couldn't tighten that anymore. It was real tight. The back one was, I could tighten it a little bit, so I don't know if it loosened up or I just didn't tighten it. But the big thing was the shift linkage. I hadn't really noticed it. It must have happened gradually and loosened up, but the transaxle has, the shift rod sticks out that way, and there's a cast aluminum piece that slides over it, and it has a bolt that fits into a little hole. It's a pointed bolt. That bolt had come loose, and it was fairly loose, so that would really loosen up the shifter. So I pulled the bolt out and put a bunch of blue Loctite on it and cranked it in there real tight, so hopefully that stays there. We'll have to check that again. All the other linkage bolts were tight. All the suspension bolts were tight. I didn't find anything else back there that was weird. But yeah, the axle shaft, 3 bolts not being tight. I think I forgot to tighten them because it wasn't like they were loosened up, and the The other bolts were all nice and tight. So I must have just forgot those 3. Big brakes. Come on. And for the most part, you know, it just comes right back to idle like that. So it's not real bad. It's just that initial dip in of the throttle is a little, it's very, you know, it should be smoother. There isn't a smooth transition between idle and that first initial bit of part throttle, which is why you get that clunking back and forth if you're, you know, going really slow. So try and get that fixed up. That might be a new throttle body or an old throttle body. I don't know. We'll find out. I did a little throttle body research, and there's a company that builds custom throttle bodies, and in one of their videos and in some other videos, they talked about idle air control valves in the cheap aftermarket throttle bodies causing problems, and hearing whistles come out of the throttle body at certain throttle positions. This one definitely does that. It gets a whistle when at part throttle. And this is definitely a cheap one. This was 65 bucks on eBay. You know, Holly ones cost like 250 bucks and up. Guys at this company, I forget what the name of it is, but their throttle body costs 450 bucks. So yeah, it's not cheap. So what I would like to do is find a stock throttle body first and swap that in, see what that does. I mean, I don't really care if it limits top end horsepower a little bit. This thing makes plenty of horsepower. So if we lose 20 horsepower at 6,500 RPMs, it's not going to bother me too much. Well, that's about it for this ride. Like Magnus Walker says, dirt don't slow you down. So go out and take a ride.